Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and today I get to interview Lawrence. So, Lawrence, welcome, man.
Thanks for having me, Kendrick.
So, dude, can you tell us your full type, please?
I am a ESFP jumper. SETE play, consume, sleep, missing blast. Double feminine.
Gotcha, gotcha. All right, and what did you think, and how did you feel when you got your typing results back?
Um, Shocked because I thought I was NIFI INTJ. So I was a little taken back, but then I kind of had to go within and like kind of double check things, and turns out they were correct. So after that, it was no issues.
I don't know why all the ESFPs want to be like an INTJ or INFJ. It's like a weird.
I Yeah, I don't know. For me, I mean, I know why because I have the masculine demons, so it looks like that. But I can't speak for the rest of us.
Yeah, no worries, man. But hey, at the very least, you saw your functions because an
Yeah,
INTJ would still have the same function as you.
yeah, yeah.
So when once you accepted that you were a jumper ESFP, tribe above self, because you thought you were self above tribe originally. Um, how did that make you feel? Like coming to terms with that and stuff.
I didn't like it. Um, I definitely thought I was tribe above. I mean, self above tribe, and it looks like that on the inside because I have the masculine FI, and it's also double activated. But when I was looking at what I was doing, I would see, yeah, I was doing what I wanted, but I had to kind of work around people, and I was like, I feel embarrassed, like, oh, dude, why you can't just do what you want to do? And yeah, it sucks. It's the only thing I don't like about the TE is the just being tribe above self.
Yeah, no, I feel you, man. I'm the same boat as you. Being a jumper ESFP, so I totally get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate it. It's annoying. Um,
Yes.
well, why don't we, since we're already in the topic of doing what you want, let's talk about your FI first. So you have masculine FI, it's double activated. And
Mhm.
it's also second in your function stack, meaning even though you are tribal self, um, deep down inside, you're probably more selfish than like an IJ who's self above tribe because they have their FI third, right? So
Mm.
your identity is still higher up, and Dave said in one of his videos that the function stack still matters. Um, so it's like a weird you're like a weird type because you're doing stuff for other people, but like you know what you like and who you are. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Okay. Let's see. I don't I don't think of myself as selfish, but I understand it looks like that. Um, so yeah, I have my own interests that things I want to do and stuff I want to pursue, and I it's kind of it's kind of for the most part all that I care about, but at the same time I have to take other people in consideration. But yeah, I mean, in my head, I'm all about who I want to be and what I want to do. And it just feels like I have to work around everything else to get there, but that's solely what I'm trying to do. Those are the sole goals I'm trying to achieve.
Well, I guess you still come across as very selfless then in that case, based on what you're saying, because your play is double feminine, SETE, and it's doing work with people in the physical world because SE. Can you talk about that a little bit and being like double feminine, being like super flexible and stuff with when it comes to working with others?
um, well, I guess you said it best, like super flexible. I don't mind accommodating someone. I don't mind trying to work with them, and I'm always eager to help. If somebody wants to do something, I'm always eager to help. Um, so yeah, I'm just very easygoing, and because I'm so strong on the inside, like whatever they want to do and however they want to do it, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me. So I'm just like, yeah, sure, we can do whatever you want to do because it doesn't um it doesn't affect me in a certain way, if that makes any sense. Sorry, I'm blast last, and it's weird because I'm trying to talk to you, and I'm like, all right, I feel like I can't get rolling.
Oh, it's all good, man. You can use your play to talk, which you're doing right now, which is perfect. So don't worry about like going crazy with the elaboration. Um, so I do want to uh say that does your double feminine play come across as extrovert feeling at times? Because like
I've
you're,
been
you're
told that.
you're quite soft and maybe you're quite accommodating too, and you want to make sure people are feeling nice and stuff. So do you feel that way? Like your double feminine play comes across very FE like?
Yes, I've been told that, and I would agree. And it doesn't. The TE just it knows like okay, even though I don't feel a certain way, I know I should laugh here and I should do this at this pause. So it's just it's automatic. I'm not really trying to do it, but I'm just it does come off very FE because I'm just filling in the blanks, probably how some FEs do, but I'm just doing it differently.
Right. Right. No, I totally relate to that. Like if for some reason, even though I have T, I know when to like laugh and stuff. When like
Yeah.
yeah, it's weird. I don't know how that works, but I kind of do. So maybe you can fill me in on this. From your perspective, of course. So in objective personality, they said that even though someone has TE, the moment you become tribal of self, you almost become connected to the tribe and you know how they feel, even though you have TE. It's like a weird thing. Do you agree with that sentiment? Like you can kind of have a gauge of like how people are feeling, based on or like get a feel of the vibe of the room and stuff, even though you don't have FE per se.
Okay, I kind of agree with that. I
Okay.
don't because I'll hear Dave talk about feeling the vibe, and I don't feel like I feel the vibe at all. But I do on some level know how they feel. It's almost like an empathetic type of thing. Like I just know, okay, this is how I feel in this situation, and then like by interacting with a person for so long, you get a feel of their character, and you just sort of mush the two together, and you say, oh, okay, this is how he would feel when he's doing this and doing that, and all right, watch out for this and try to navigate that. Yeah.
I guess it's
The
empathy then that you have is
Yes, yeah, yeah. It makes you the double feminine play. It seems to make you somewhat of a chameleon. You can just blend in to the surroundings and sort of read the I hate to say the feel of people, but the feel of people, yeah. But I don't feel like, when I hear people like, oh, well, it's the vibe. I'm like, I don't see the vibe. I don't know the vibe that you're referring to.
okay, maybe that's where we differ a little bit because my
Mhm.
consume is NF and your consume is SF. So I guess with NF consume, I can read the vibe, but yours is SF. So I guess you can track what's cool and popular though. Uh, would you say that you're able to track that? You're
Yeah.
double activated too with that SF consume.
Yes. I can track it. I don't care, but I can track it. Yeah.
Right, right.
Um so like I don't watch sports, but I know like this basketball player, that basketball player. I somehow just okay, just grab this, grab that, grab this information, grab that information. I can see this guy's reacting to this, I can see this guy's reacting to that. So I can see it, but it's of no interest, but I just have this stacking in the back of my mind.
Right. So I guess your extroverted sensing is tracking all this stuff, but then your
Yes.
introvert feeling is like, yeah, I know people like that, but I don't care. I like this.
Yes.
Then you'll pick and choose what you personally like and stuff.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I care about what I like.
So people
You know.
with TI, so this is one of their biggest question mark in their head. Like with like us FI people, even for me with FI, I was thinking about it. And I was like, this is kind of weird. Like, how do you know what you like? It's like because I've always kind of known what I like after like trying something. I'm like, oh, I really like this, you know. But then for them, it's like they don't have FI, right? So it's like how do you know what you like? Like it's a weird thing, right?
I feel, I feel like you just know. Like,
Yeah,
how do you not know? That's the
yeah,
question I would
exactly.
ask. Like, how do you not know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I've heard FI say that what you like is your identity. I disagree with that part, but I think I think what you like does represent it does represent a part of you, but it's not you, it's not your identity. It's just a lot of times it's how you express yourself outwardly. You know, I like this here. If I tell you this about me, this is telling you something about the inner part of me, that I like this thing or whatever. Um, that's not gonna a lot of people aren't gonna pick up on that, but that's how I feel about it.
So when consume, you're doing it by yourself, right? So
Hmm.
there's like a part of it that's not self-expression. It's just like purely for yourself, and you don't care if anyone knows that you're into this, as long as you're enjoying that thing that you're into, per se. So can you talk about that a little bit and like how you and you're double activated with this too. So you're gonna be really abusing the consume of like things that you enjoy personally. So can you share a little bit of like what happens there and like some of the stuff that you personally are into, with that double that in an obsessive way too, because it's double activated.
Well, I mean, it doesn't feel obsessive to me, but I have been told that it does come across that way. So that's one of those weird things of like on the inside it doesn't look like that, but on the outside it looks differently. But yeah, basically when I start consuming something, like especially if it's something new I'm really getting into, like ops, when I got really into ops, it was all I was doing. It was all I was just watching, consuming videos, YouTube, interviews, everything, and my wife's looking at me like, what are you doing? Um, but yeah, I she told me it comes off as obsessive. But some of the things, I mean, I've always been into comic books when I was younger. I haven't read them for about maybe 5 years or so, but I was really into comics growing up. I really like fantasy novels. I like fantasy artwork. Um, I got into like fragrances. That was something that was kind of always there, but I really got into it like the last 2 years and just bought ridiculous amounts. It's embarrassing. Um, Art supplies, I buy tons of art supplies. It's just I go all in. Whatever it is I'm into, I'm really into it. Just dive deep. Like I don't do anything really half-assed. I don't know if that answered your question, but
Well, it does, and it's also the perfect segue to talking about your sexual modalities. So your tester visual,
mhm.
and you explained it so well with your obsession with like fragrances that smell, right? Like tester smell and taste. Um, and then art supplies obviously sounds like you're into art as well, which is visual.
Yeah.
So can you talk about, being into or exploring different scents, different tastes, liking different visual, artistic kind of work, and like how they make you feel, when you're exploring all those.
Um, that might be a little difficult. Okay, so art wise, I know I like a lot of more detail artwork. But at the same time, I like more expressionistic stuff too. I like animated stuff. So there seems to be like a hierarchy in place there of what I like the best and what I don't like as much. And then some stuff I like and I can't explain why. I just like it. Like it doesn't match anything else that I like, but I seem to really like it. It's also like that with fragrances. Like there are certain kinds of scents. I looked up and I realized like, oh, these are all kind of the same kind of scents. They're just different ones, but they are all in the same category. And then there are other ones that I just really like the way they smell, and I have no reason. I have no. There's no logical connection as to why, but they're outside of those categories. But I really like those too. Um, as far as taste, yeah, I don't have anything on taste like food and whatnot. I know that's supposed to be a thing with testers, but that's not something that I've really experienced myself.
So you don't actively try out different food and stuff? Like
No,
I see. Okay.
no. Like if I go to a restaurant, I might be like, oh, okay, I like to try something, but I feel that urge of like, this is excellent, and I could try this, and it might be okay, but I know this is excellent, so I go with the excellent one. Like 9 times out of 10, I get the same.
Do you
Yeah.
like use your plate to like manipulate your like friends and family to try something new so you can like pick off their plate so you can like test it?
No, I wish I had thought of that. No. What I will do if I go to a restaurant, I will try to do that with the waiters. Like, oh, okay, so what do you like and what is good here? And I try to get whatever information I can get from them to make a choice of what might be the best.
Right. Gotcha. So what's the lure for you when it comes to scents? I'm curious because I'm not a tester, right? So I'm like I actually hate like scents to begin with. Like, but I'm curious for you guys who are tester, who are into scents, like what is like the what's so like what's like the pull towards it, you know?
Hmm. Well, I don't know. I started when I was young, like in junior high school, but I thinking about it recently, what I came up with is the feminine sensory. I can't really push on a sensory like a masculine sensory. So this is a way of like subtly pushing out. Like I can't be like, oh, okay, I'm this guy and I'm the baddest and I have the coolest thing. So like I try to subtly place my mark on things. Place my mark. Oh, I am special. I am this. I am I'm not explaining it well, but it's my way of subtly trying to attract things to myself. Like usually, I guess having an effect on the sensory as far as like the females and whatnot. Not that I'm trying to actively get women to marry, but I'm just saying like it's that whole like you still want to maintain like good status in the sensory.
So you're trying to smell good too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you want to smell nice, you want to look nice. Yeah,
yeah. I see. Okay, that makes sense. Gotcha. Okay. Um, so for me, I'm an audio, so and I have SI. So for me, when I gather music, um, it's kind of like you with your FI. You do have your ranking of your favorite smell. So I have my ranking of like the best music and stuff, and then
Mhm.
and then I stack them and I organize them in a specific order because I teach spin in my part of my job, working in fitness. So for me, I'm like, okay, and then I get to test it with a tribe and see which one like they react to the best, with like which order of music when we're doing the class. So that's kind of like the pull for me is still with the tribe. So I guess for you, when you said that you want to smell good, it's still for the tribe because you're lead play, So it's kind of
Yeah,
it's like kind of interesting how that's kind of the conclusion you came up with. It's like still gotta present yourself well, you know.
yeah, yeah. And it's weird because again with the masculine FI feel like I I feel like I shouldn't try so hard to do so, but with the TE savior, I guess it just wants to do that.
Still have to.
Yeah, I'm responsible. Yeah,
Right. Right. That's so cool. That's the first time I think of link that together. It's like if you're a tribe above self, then it's whatever you're consuming is still for the tribe. It's like in a weird way, you know. Um, so I want to ask you now about your sleep. So your sleep is double masculine.
hmm
It's NF, and it's a really weird sleep animal. Like your identity is NF. It's like this fairy thing, you know? Like how do you describe your NF sleep? It probably confuses like a lot of ESFPs too, you know? Because it's like what the hell is going on inside me, you know? Like
It's yes. It is confusing for me. I Okay, so it's something I've been looking at a lot more lately, and I've been noticing it has a huge effect. I think it has a huge effect on my personality. Um, because I was trying to figure out like before OPS, everybody thought I was INTJ, and I was like, okay, so what is it that they're picking up on that makes them feel that way? And I guess I must be projecting like intuition, you know, which I can't really see it myself. Like I can't hear it when I speak, but um shit, where was I going with that? Oh, but on the inside, uh I think I talk about my values a lot because just the way talking to people and interacting with them and like when I might ask them a question about values, they were like, "Yes, we can tell that's clearly important to you." So I must be speaking on it a lot, even though I don't realize it. Um, Also, I think that the double masculine sleep kind of, I think it freaks people out a little bit. And the reason I say that is because people will sometimes get upset with me. And I think I come off really, really confident. Um, and people don't, I think they find that disturbing a little bit. And I've seen people try to like push up against it. Like I was talking to a guy the other day, and I was trying to figure out the how somebody is offended. You know, I was talking to my wife about it, and she was trying to explain the concept to me, and I was like, I didn't really understand. I don't think I've ever really been offended. And I was like, it sounds like when you offend someone, it's more about the person who's offended than it is the actual person who's doing the offending, because you can offend somebody by accident. And I was talking to a guy at work, and I was telling him about it, and he was telling me, yes, he tries very often to offend me, which I found humorous. And I was like, why? And he says, you're way too casual about things. And I think that's the double masculine sleep. Like nothing really worries me, nothing really bothers me. I don't get really triggered by much. Like if you got 0 and then you got 1 to 10 on this side, and then you got 1 to negative 10 on this side, and you got this is positive emotion and negative emotion, my emotions don't really move past 3 on either side. Like I don't my emotions don't really shift. I'm always like super calm, chill, just relax. And I think that really unnerves people. Like I don't think they really know what to do with it. And you add on the ST talk on top of it, and I think people are just like, what the fuck is this? Like, because I don't think it's very common. You know, like I've never seen anybody else in my type, and I'm sure there are other double masculine NF sleeps out there, but I don't know what they look like. I haven't experienced them, but I get the impression that I kind of unnerve people. I know that's a lot to kind of answer your question. Sorry.
is it because you see yourself as the threat, you know, because like you're double masculine inside, you know?
Probably, probably, because I don't really see anybody as a threat. Like if, if anything is going to happen, you know, I'm not concerned. So maybe that is what comes off. People, you know, like my wife always tells me, like, you're so confident in what you're saying. But I'm like, on the inside, I feel like I'm correct, but I'm open to being wrong. I'm always open to being wrong. I don't feel like I'm just 100% accurate at everything. Nobody's like that. So I try to tell her that to let her know, like, hey, look, I might be wrong, but she's like, it doesn't come across that way when you speak. And I'm I'm always trying to talk to people and get a better feel on how I'm coming across to other people because I can only see myself from the inside. I can't really see what I look like from the outside. So I'm always trying to play with people to get a better grasp on that picture of how I look.
I wonder if your wife has TI because she's using the word wrong a lot, and then you have TE, right? So like right and wrong is like not a big deal to you. You're like, yeah, whatever, So kind of curious now.
I actually suspect she's a feminine SI savior. SI SC. I think she's a ISFP is what I think. But I'm trying to get her to get typed so I can just see because it's a puzzle I've been trying to figure out.
Right. Um, okay, so because your sleep is NF, and what I've noticed is a lot of people that have your function stack, not
Mhm.
just ESFPs, but ISFP, INTJ, and ENTJs tend to have some kind of code or mantra that they adhere to. So do you have any that you personally like that follow
Yes,
or like,
I have two.
yeah, let's hear it.
Uh and they're kind of the same thing in a certain way. There's to thine own self be true. I want to say that's Shakespeare, but I'm not 100% certain. And then there's what I always call it buffet theory. It's like take what you want and leave the rest. And basically what that mean is just be true to who you are. If when it comes to ideology, you just take parts of the ideology or parts of whatever it is you're talking about and leave the rest. Like, okay, if you're speaking on, let's say, for instance, Christianity, I might be like, all right, well, take the Ten Commandments or whatever. That's nice, but all the other stuff that you don't agree with, yeah, just push that to the side. So yeah, that's kind of the way I approach life. I just take what I want. The rest you can have. I don't really believe in taking on one solid ideology for everything. But that's just me.
So your other fellow jumper ESFPs, there's a lot of famous ones that have their own personal codes. Do you agree with theirs? Like the two biggest one in the personality space is Jocko Willing and David Goggins, right? So Jocko has discipline equals freedom, and
Hmm.
um, David Goggins has having a callous mind. You know, do you resonate with some of those big codes that
Yes,
they're pushing to?
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the code itself is based on that particular person's life experience. So it's going to be particular to that individual. But yes, I agree with both of those. Yeah, and I've been a fan of theirs for quite some time. I was watching them before I kind of discovered ops. So when I found out they were the same type, I was like, "Oh, that's interesting."
There you go, man. So you
Yeah,
see, yeah, a lot of the badass people your type. It's like I'm like, why does an ESFP don't want to be an ESFP? You guys get the best
yeah,
types, like
yeah. Yeah. I hear a lot of people. I guess it's just the whole thing about supposedly going by the MBTI stuff. Is like those stereotypes that sensors can't be intelligent, and
yeah,
everybody wants to be the cool, intuitive. So
right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah. But hey, a lot of the INTJs are rappers, right? Like Jay-Z and stuff. So it's kind of crazy when I learned about that. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me?
yeah,
You know?
yeah. I just watched the 50 Cent class, and I was shocked when I found out he was an ESFP. I was like, huh, that's
Oh
interesting.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love 50 Cent. So there, yeah.
yeah. And I was watching a video about him the other day, and I was like, man, he's got to be Ti because he was just the levels of stuff he was breaking down. And then when
Right.
I watched the ops video about him, I was like, oh, that's got to be the consume report. This is just all the stuff he's consumed, and he's just stacked it so high. You know, yeah, just interesting.
I haven't seen that video yet. Um, but I will watch it soon. I just finished watching that leaf person video.
The rock climber, is that the guy?
No. The ESTJ woman, I forgot her name. The one who was talking about the
Oh,
stuff. Yeah. And
okay.
then the rock climber, I was very shocked that he was SE. I thought he was SI because he memorized every single handhold, and that felt very
Hmm.
SI. So I'm still curious why he's TISE instead of TISI. So I don't know. It's something I'm still wondering. But yeah, I get you on the 50 Cent. Like I thought he was an ESTP. I thought he had TI also.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when I hear him talking in interviews, I'm like, dude, that's gotta be Ti. Just like Ti, just they're so in depth about things, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
He was
shocked
very
me.
he was very calculated how he was doing things. That's why I thought he was TI. Because people, I feel like with FI you're not as calculated. Like I don't feel like I am, but you know,
Hmm.
but I guess like like Kobe Bryant, I thought he was TI too until I watched his video, and then I was like, this guy's an ESFP, and then I listened to his interviews. I'm like, oh my god, he knows his values so well. I'm like, oh Jesus.
That's how I knew. When I was trying to figure out I was having a hard time with it. And then Reggie on his channel had posted like a video of Kobe's like motivational stuff. And as soon as I heard it, it clicked. I was like, oh, I know that. He was talking about like the sacrifices. You got to make sacrifices. I was like, oh, I recognize that very well. So yeah. But if I can add something, because we were talking about the double masculine sleep, it came back to me. Um, so like I said, I was looking at that recently, and I was noticing some kind of scary things. Like I was noticing how I would be attracted to certain characters, like in television shows and whatnot, and the attraction was not necessarily physical. It was more about the concept of the character. And then when I started looking in that, I could see like, oh, okay, that's the double masculine sleep. Just it's affecting so much under the surface. It's crazy. Like it affects who I like, what kind of person I like. Even like when I'm getting to know a person, I'm sort of like building this concept of them in my head. And a lot of it seems to come back to the double masculine sleep. Like it's crazy how much it's influencing me under the surface. Um, I don't know if anybody's aware of that, but that's just what I came across. So yeah, just want to throw that out there.
So your sleep is third. That means you are using it.
Yes.
So it's not like a blind spot per se for you. And you're also energy dominant with play above sleep. So that means you expend first before you conserve your energy.
Hmm.
Is that what you're doing, or are you just completely aware of your energy the whole day? So like let's say you wake up tired, would you conserve your energy first, or you'll still expend regardless?
I feel I will expand regardless. I think I feel like I'm aware of my energy, but not to the extent of how they describe it. So it's sort of like when I wake up, I realize I'm tired because I don't get enough sleep. I know that, and then but it doesn't matter. I gotta go, so I'm off and I'm doing stuff, and I really don't notice the energy until I have to expend energy for the tribe, and then I notice when I kick it up into high gear. But after that, I don't notice it again. So I feel like I'm somewhat aware of the energy, but for the most part, not really.
I guess you still know when you're like dying, like you're of exhaustion and you need to chill out, Like it's not like it's not like a blind spot.
Somewhat, somewhat. I think I'm so used to running on like low battery that I can easily ignore it,
I
and
see.
then I'll find myself at the end of the night with barely enough energy to get out of whatever I'm doing and go get ready for bed. It's just like, oh man, like it really hit me that I'm exhausted. So yeah.
All right, dude, let's cover your last animal, blast and T-blast. I personally think that you with your specific animal stack, it's hard to access that blast because it's like play is expending energy for the tribe. And then it's followed by consume sleep, which is like double introverted, right?
Mm-hmm.
So usually when you use an extroverted animal, it's easy to transition to the other extrovert animal. In your case, it's blast. But because yours is play and then two introverted ones, it's almost like you could swing between those two and completely ignore the blast. Because it's hard to tap into it. So like how and you know a lot of people say missing blast, and I know you said it earlier in the interview. I actually think that people have access to their fourth animal. I don't think it's missing. I think it's just like underused. But
I agree.
when does it personally come out for you? Because everyone can use all four animals. It's just a matter of, is it coming out in like a tidal wave? You know, like you're not speaking up and then you get in trouble. Like what's how does it come out for you? Or like when does it come out? Like
Uh,
yeah.
I have seen when I'm not speaking and I'll get in trouble. Like I don't get that much very often anymore, but I used to see that more often. Now I make more of an effort. Like, all right, if I know something has to be said, then I make sure I say it. Because for me, I think blast is kind of tricky. Like I'm a little unclear on the definition because they're like, okay, pushing the tribe to do something. I don't feel like I'm doing that. But I'm like, all right, if I know something needs to be said, make sure I say it. But the NT part of the blast, I think I'm doing. So I have a YouTube channel and it's just me talking about OPS. And I feel like that's where I'm seeing it expressed because I feel like I'm playing, I'm consuming, and I'm sleeping all on the OPS stuff. And then I get into the YouTube channel and then I'm breaking it down. This is what I see it doing. These are my observations. And I feel like that's the NT blast. I also feel like that when it comes to my artwork as well. It's like taking in all the information on how to do it and what to do it, and then at the end, spitting it out on the canvas. So I also see myself doing that, but unaware that I'm doing that. Like I had a friend of mine come over and he was practicing a sales pitch and I was like listening to him or whatever. And then I was telling him like, all right, you got to work on this, you got to work on this, you got to work on this. And then I was like, look, you're coming off too robotic. You got to kind of ping with people. And then I was explaining to him like, all right, how to ping with somebody, how to interact with somebody, how to just like build a little vibe with them. And then after that, I realized like, wait, I wasn't aware that I even knew how to do that. And I was like, because I always feel like I can't read the vibe, but I know how to do it, you know. And I realized like, oh, okay, so I'm building up a lot of things to those blasts in my mind, but they're just there. And then if I need to use them, I'll use them. It's almost like I'm so unaware of how much information I have, you know. And you might be able to relate to this because you're OE as well. Like I feel like I know a lot of stuff, and if you ask me, I'm like I don't know, and then I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is how you do it. This is this and this is that, and I'm like, where the fuck did that come? Oh, sorry, I didn't know if I can cuss,
You could
but I'm
cuss.
like, where did? Okay, yeah, I'm like, where did that come from? And I just realized like I'm building all these things, you know, especially by having the ST. I'm just building and I'm collecting all these things from the consumer, I'm collecting all these things I played upon. I'm sleeping on all of them, and they're just stacking up in the back of my mind. Whether I ever use all of them or not, I don't know. But if need access to them, they're there.
I think my type would be even more abusive when it comes to information, just because like intuition. So I can skip through the facts and and say things and they take
Mhm.
shortcuts and stuff. Because I think for you it's ST, right? So you still have to make sure that it's still
Yeah.
factually. I mean, I have ST blast in the savior state, so I'm not gonna go too far. But it's just interesting that you said that. So I'm like, yeah, yeah. As an EP, definitely know a lot as well. You probably know a lot more than what you're saying too, because you're double activated consume. So it's probably like probably you might be underestimated by people or coworkers of like how much you actually know. Problem is you can't say it because you're blast last, or it's like harder to just say it. So um and I think that the more I learn about OPS, the more I realize I'm like, oh my God, those people who are blasting all day, they probably don't know as much as the person that's not saying anything, you know?
I would very much agree with that. I think I saw on Benjamin's channel he interviewed a INTP. Her name was, I want to say Kim, but I'm not certain. I know you interviewed her on your channel too, blonde hair. Um, and she said the same thing. She thought that the blasts were a lot of times talking about things that they didn't know about. And Benjamin was kind of like, I don't know about that, you know. And I have taken note of that same thing. I do think I don't know why. I don't know if they're just instinctively like, oh, okay, no, I can fill in the gap. This is obviously this. That might be it. But yeah, I don't think that they know as much as they are betraying that they know. The person who is last who's not saying anything knows a lot more than people think they know.
I think the problem with blast last though is because I have blast and consume in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Is sometimes I feel like I know something because I've consumed it, but when I talk about it, I'm like, maybe I don't know it as much as I thought I did. Because then when I start talking about it, it's like missing gaps, you know? That's why if you have consume and blast in your first three animals, then you're info dominant because when you blast, that's when you realize what's missing. Because then, that's then you gotta consume to fill in the gaps, right? Or vice versa, you'll consume stuff and then you'll present, and after you present, you're like, ah, crap, I missed that one thing, so I need to go back and consume. You know,
I wonder if that's one route of doing it. And the reason I say that is because I feel like I'm doing something similar, but I'm like consuming and playing on it. And then I realize with the play, oh, okay, I'm missing this, I'm missing that. That like often I see my sleep use my play to get a better let me here. This is a good example. All right, so you got this thing, right? You see that.
yeah,
My consume says, all right, I can see this. This is what I'm consuming. And then I play on it, and then I can get some other people's view all around this side. And then I have a more complete version of whatever it is I'm trying to see.
right.
So I'm doing a similar thing just in a different way.
Consume
But
play.
I'm
Okay.
yeah, but um I'm still not letting that information out. And then I'm always doing that. So I'm always building more and more and more because I feel like I never have enough information. So I still have tons of information, you know.
Well, why don't we look at the different dimensions of anti-blast and NC? Okay, so um, blast is producing essentially. So there must be some kind of result after you blast. Uh, that something would happen essentially, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's used to produce. So if your blast is NT and you've consumed all this stuff and now it's finally time to blast, um, wouldn't you agree that if you blasted to somebody and there was no result from your blast, that you failed in your blast and it's missing some key information to help that person get the result that they needed to produce?
I would
You know?
not I would not agree with that.
Okay, okay.
And the reason I wouldn't agree, I see what you're saying, but from my point of view, I wouldn't agree because the it may be on that particular person. You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
all in what that person, how they interpret everything and how they choose to act on it. And recently we were having this issue with my job, and they were trying to figure out the issue, and for some reason they were way off, way off. And because I can see in the ST, I was like, all right, look. Because I couldn't figure out, I was like, why don't you see this? It's just obvious. And then I was like, all right, look, here are your problems. These are causing these problems over here. Here are some solutions to solve this problem. And the two guys that I was explaining this to, they they just wasn't getting it for some reason, like they understood the concept, but they wasn't taking action. And I can't force them to take action. It's just that's on them, and they're in their positions, they're higher up in the company or whatever. So there's nothing I can do, but I'm just like, all right, I feel obligated to give you this to help you solve the problem. Whether you take my solution or not is up to you. Because I always feel like I'm not trying to influence you, but I'm trying to give you the best information to make whatever choices you want to make. But in cases like this is your best options. So here are your best options to solve this problem. But whether or not you choose to solve the problem, that's up to that person.
Right. No, that makes perfect sense. And there's a lot of factors to involve. So like, they could be consumed last, so they don't they didn't take anything you said, or um their consume is different from your blast, so it doesn't have a match. Like for example, with NT blast, if you talk to someone with NT play like me, then I can ping it off you, right? Because you're saying it to
Mhm.
me as NT. But if someone is NT consume, they would get it, right? But
Right.
if they don't have NT play or NT consume, it might be harder to absorb that, right? Because that kind of deal. So um
I didn't think about that. Yeah, you're probably right on that.
yeah, because like what's the other one? NT sleep. So yeah, so if you said something to the NT sleep person, well, they're already it's already inside them, right? And it's kind of offensive for them for someone to tell them what like the right logical solution is to their problem, because it's like your sleep animal is where your ego comes from, right? Which is kind
Mhm.
of that's your identity. It's also personal. So if someone were to tell you how, like if someone has like NF blast and tries to tell you how you should, like your vibe is wrong or you're shallow or whatever, like you're probably gonna get like offended too, right? Like hey, don't tell me how to be, like you know you're an EP, so it makes it worse, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's the only time I've noticed a emotional shift when somebody tries to tell me how I'm supposed to be. Oh, you're a bad person because you're doing this or saying that, or you're not supposed to be like that. I do notice that, like, all right, fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah, I do get along with people of your stack, and vice versa, just because I have NF consume. So when people of your stack tell me they're NF sleep, then I'm just like consuming it. It's not there's no like judgment or anything. Um, and vice versa. You guys have SF consume, right? And have SF sleep. So it's like if I'm telling you about my SF sleep, then you're just using your SF consume to just take it in. So it's like you feel heard, in a way. So it's kind of like that's why I feel like certain types get along better than others. And a certain type like butt heads. Like I butt heads with specific types just because of like specifically if someone has like SF blast,
Mhm.
they're trying to tell me like how I should behave my SF, which is my sleep, right? It could be for you with like someone with NF blast trying to tell you how you should be. You're like, you know, like screw you, like um anyways, let's go over the next part of your blast. NT. Are you good? Would you say you're good at problem solving, or is that something that you have challenges with?
I've always thought I was good at problem solving. I didn't realize that was an NT thing though. Because like I'm gonna be honest, I don't really quite understand NT. Like I see the ST, I can see the ST very clearly. I don't know what I'm missing with the NT. Like you guys are a mystery to me.
Well, it's like I ST is really slow. Like I think that's a problem with ST. It's more accurate, but it's super slow. Um, but you have less room for error when you use ST than NT, because NT you're trying to take a shortcut, right? Because N is taking like leaps, right? You're gonna make an assumption of how something is gonna be, and then you take
Mhm.
action based on that assumption. Now, because it is NT, um, you're making a smart assumption or a smart leap based on uh the logic of it. So I'll give a concrete example. Like I love traveling, and my goal is to visit every single country in the world. See the map behind me.
Mhm.
Um, so for me, I'm always trying to figure out, okay, how can I see all this country with just my day job that makes like 35K a year? Like how am I gonna do that? I only make 35K a year. I'm making a bit more now, but like for the past few years, I was making that much until like I got like a new job and stuff. Um, so I was like, how can I see all these countries if I'm only making like 35K a year? Like, I still have to pay rent, I still have to pay for food. Like, how am I gonna go to all these places? It would if you just use ST, the math doesn't make any sense, right? Like,
Right.
how long do you save up money for to go travel, right? Like maybe I could save up, like if I'm paying rent and stuff, maybe I can save up like, well, let's say $200 a month. So does that mean I have to save up for 2 years to go to one place? Because I have to pay for flights, I have to pay for
Mhm.
accommodation, for food, and all that stuff, right? But that's where NT comes in, right? Because NT is like, oh no, 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 you're not gonna go to the BS, save up $200 a month just so you can go to the place you want to go. No, 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 no. There's always a shortcut if you're clever about it. So for me, I figured out, hey, I have all these bills I'm paying. Let's say my bills for the year is $20,000, let's say, right? And in certain credit cards, if you spend, let's say, $5,000, they're gonna give you like, let's say, 100,000 points, right? So with NT, I'm figuring out, okay, if my expense for the year is $20,000, how many credit cards can I get with that $20,000 where I can get the minimum spend bonus points for each of them, and then I can use those points to book a flight for like $100 to go to any place in the world, and instead of waiting 2 years to go to one place, I can literally go to a place every year, to more than one place too, just because that each of those points is allowing me to fly to those places, for like $120, and then the rest of the money will just go for food and accommodation. And even then, there's ways around that using NT to figure out how to save money on accommodation. So that's like the power of NT. Is like, it's like a shortcut to get to your goal by just being clever about it. Because like, if you're
Mhm.
ST, it's too freaking slow, man. Like saving at $200 a month, like just and wait until you have, like, let's say, like 3 or 4 grand, you can go travel somewhere now. Like that's 2 years to get there. That's BS. Like hell no. So then I use my NT power to figure this shit out. Like, how can I get to what I want without having to wait for all this BS? Like, what is the quickest, fastest way? You know. Now there's a drawback, obviously, because I've done this trick that I'm telling you right now, and I've got burnt before. You know, like either
Okay.
American Express shut down my credit cards because I was abusing the system, or or getting my money locked up, in prepaid credit cards, because I'm trying to hit the minimum spend in advance. So there's like BS I have to deal with. But then if I look at the big picture with my NE, I could still say I'm still ahead even if I get burned. So I'll take that
Right.
risk. If I take that risk, it's still okay. So that's kind of like NT. That's just one example, by the way. But like there's more, like you can do this in fitness also, or dating, like anything pretty much. If you have NT, you can shortcut your way to a lot of stuff.
That sounds pretty awesome. I'm not sure if I'm doing that at all, though, to be honest. Like, all my problem solving, I had always attributed to like the ST. Um, I don't know about the NT aspect of it. I don't know. I don't know. I that one I'm gonna have to think on. Like, that the NT blast has always been the one that I've had the most problem trying to figure out. So, yeah, I don't think I have anything on that.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question then. So what goal do you have that you're like it's gonna take forever to reach that goal?
Becoming a professional artist. I would say that.
Okay, and what's the obstacle in the middle to become one?
Uh, the obstacle is building up the work and then getting hired by the companies after you have the work. And I feel like that's not really within my control.
It's not in your control for the company to hire you.
Right. Because it's ultimately their decision.
And what kind of artistic work are you doing?
Like fantasy book covers, things like that.
So the obstacle is you don't think you can get hired, or it's hard to get hired to do that.
Yeah, because there's so many people trying to do that kind of job, you know.
So my auntie told me this is not a big problem.
Okay.
Okay, so my auntie tells me, let me put in a word that kind of makes sense to you, okay? Um, let's say you're hiring people to work for you, right?
Right.
Right. Um, like how would you pick who you should hire to work for you?
I would go off of quality of work, people who hit deadlines, and people who are good to work with.
Right, right. Okay. And would you say you meet all those requirements? Like you could hit deadlines, you're
Yeah.
good to work with. Yeah.
Yeah.
And would you say your artistic work is reasonably good?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, let me ask you a question. So exact same scenario, but you have one dude or one girl that is doing volunteer work for you, doing that work already. So you know this person already,
Hmm.
and now you there's a spot open in your company. Would you hire this person, or are you gonna versus the people that applied? Like who would you pick first?
I would hire that person because I already see those traits there. So if I got the spot open, of course, immediately I'm going to go and hire that person.
Right. So my auntie tells me all you have to do is volunteer for a bunch of different companies, and then and then see if they like you or not. Build up the relationship, and then one of them be like, "Why the hell would I go through the hiring process? It takes forever. It's unproven. You're proven. You've shown me your work. You've gotten along with the work culture, and as a result, like, why would I waste my time hiring someone when I can just get you? You've already proven yourself, and you've done work for free, and you've shown that you're good. So that's kind of like what my auntie is kind of saying. I'm like this is a non-problem, right? Like as a lead auntie, like like
Okay, yeah, that does make it pretty simple.
yeah. I mean, it's not easy because you still have to do the work and stuff, but
Right.
you know
Yeah,
you
that's not a
you still have to
yeah.
take, and you have to take the auntie to the next level. You have to figure out, okay, how can I allocate time so I can do this, right? So there's
Yeah.
there's there's all like, everything's a puzzle essentially, like with as an NT person. So like there's always a trick. That's what I'm trying to say. There's always a trick, and if you don't know the trick, because um you haven't put the work in to figure out the trick. But with practice, the trick comes quicker. Like you'll know the trick quicker. And your NT is also blast, so you do have to produce in order to come up with that idea. So for you to let's say be an artist, a paid
Mhm.
professional artist, you do have to produce for other companies, which is blast, right? You know,
Mm.
so it's like it's just like knowing the code and stuff can get you ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I will admit the code it hasn't given me any big leaps, but as far as like dealing with things in life and people, it's been very worthwhile knowing.
But dude, even though I say it so simply to you, like, oh, this is all you have to do to get like the job. Um,
Hmm.
dude, using your fourth animal is freaking hard. It's not easy. I have SF sleep, and I know a lot of my problems will go away if I just focus on the SF sleep. Literally, a lot of my life problems go away. Like for you too, if you use your anti blast, it'll go away. But like clearly, you're not doing it as much as you should be doing, and I'm not doing it as much as I should be doing. So
Right.
it's even though the solution is like simple, it's like right in your face. It's hard to switch gears and focus that, because it's like it's your demon, right? So it's like it's still like, oh, you know, still
Your
hard.
sleep is double masculine.
Yeah, I have double masculine sleep like you. I have the same. I'm kind of similar as you. Double feminine play, double masculine sleep. So
So what is that like when you all right, so are you noticing a big difference when you actually do use it, access it?
yeah, so it like the thing that pisses me off the most, as when I was growing up, is like I got more respect when I look cool versus when I actually had the knowledge to produce something. You know,
Hmm.
like like when I dyed my hair blonde when I was 18, I had spiky blonde hair. I was like getting more attention from people, and now I was like respected. And then when it became black again, the respect gone. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And then like in my like mid to late late 20s, I got really jacked, right? And then like like things were somehow became like easier in life, like parties, like friends, whatnot, like just things fell to places, like I was taken more seriously for jobs too, because I looked better, so it's like,
Yeah.
so like the SF is really like the foundation for everything, and I tend to disrespect it because I'm using my N too much, which is not
Hmm.
not it's not helping me in any way, so and even like for these kind of videos, like I know when I use my SF sleep to produce videos and like go over my known information over and over again and make sure it's as pleasing as possible,
Hmm.
then they perform so much better than when I just do interviews, um so I disrespect it, or I'm not doing it as much as I should. I'm aware, so I do sneak it in, but nowhere near enough. And that's why people who like go all in, they're like for demon, like magical things happen for them. It's like if I just work on my SF sleep, then a lot of my problems will go away because that's all I really need to do. I'm already good. You're already good at your first two animals. Like like what's the point? Like like why are you doing it if you're already good at it, right? Like shouldn't you be working on stuff that you suck at? Yeah, of course everyone's working on the third animal. Third animal you can see it, right? So of course
Yeah.
everyone's working on their third animal. So it's the fourth one that you're like really avoiding, right? That's the root of the problem, because your third one, you're doing enough that it's fine. Like your third animal's sleep, it's NF. You're probably doing enough, in that area. It's more like that NT blast for you. Like you told me the artist stuff, right? And I'm like, oh dude, that's so easy to fix. Like being lead NT. I'm like, that's not even a huge problem, like it's not gonna be quick. It's gonna take time, but I don't see it as like a huge problem. But
I
like,
don't know how you work on that though. Like it's blast. Like I don't know how do you even start working on that?
yeah, dude. So for you, because yours is blast, then you have to produce for other people because it's blast is tribe, right? So if your FI goal is to be an artist, then you have to go to multiple different organizations and offer your services for free, and just let them know that you're looking for something permanent eventually, but you're willing to prove yourself, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
and and blast, because blast is produced, the more you produce for art. And here's the kicker, man. Like, so basically, you're saying, you said that you're gonna do like fantasy novel covers,
Hmm.
as well as some other artistic stuff. So basically, um, the cover of the fantasy novel has a purpose, and the purpose is to get people to buy that book, right? Or
Right.
and also to enhance the company's brand. So that's a solution that you're trying to solve for those companies. So your artistic drawing would then be producing those specific result for the company. And if you could produce those results, then there's no freaking way they would not consider you as the guy that they should hire, because you're the guy that's figuring out the solution to their problem, right? Through your production.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I don't it when you said it, it sounds so obvious. And I'm like, how was I not seeing that?
It's all good,
But
man. It's all good.
with you though, it sounds like you actually have a great thing. Like, all right, as far as like you're using your sleep for the videos, that's one thing, but like the physical things, like the blonde hair and the just being ripped,
Yeah.
like, dude, if you can maintain those things and then you still can like maximize your NT, dude, you sound like you're in a golden position, man.
But
That's
that,
like
that
best of both worlds.
yeah, if the keyword is if, because like the fourth one is still hard. So I'm working on it. I'm chipping away at it. I just bought some new clothes. So I'm like, I'm trying, I'm really working at it. It's like it's not easy. But I know if the more I do it, the better my life will be, because like I already have the NT, so I just need the SF to be taken seriously, So because like I just gave you like a solution, right? And then
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, this is legit, right? And then like, but like people will not take me seriously. They saw me my video first, like, you know,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So unfortunately, the cover, no, like no pun intended, because I know that's what you're gonna do is covers.
Right.
It makes a huge difference. It's still important. So
Okay. Yeah, I get that. I get that.
yeah, the packaging is important.
Yeah, the packaging. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. it's like good dating, man. It's like, like you always look at the person's looks first, right? And then you get to know them. It's like, oh yeah, and then the looks is secondary to their personality, right? But
Right.
you know what I mean? So it's still
Yes.
like important, right? So yeah.
Yeah. One step one, you can't get to step two without going through step one.
Exactly. That's the problem with not respecting the SF, because SF step one, I'm done step two, three, and four. But without step one, those two, three, and four is not gonna happen, right? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Like you have step one, two, and three, then you don't have four, right? Or so I'm always confused if like NT or NF is the fourth one. Maybe it is like, I don't know. I feel like everything starts with NF, to be honest. You know,
I think you might be somewhat right about that.
or
But
maybe
I don't know. I
uh,
mean, I'm
it's hard.
IMF, so yeah.
All right, dude. We'll wrap the interview here. So it's been good chatting with you, man, and getting to know you better, knowing more about your type and stuff. And yeah, man, good. All the best to you in your artistic endeavor and stuff.
Okay. Question. Do you
Yeah,
have to are you pressed for time? You gotta go?
I gotta go shortly, but yeah, do you have a quick question before we?
Yeah,
Yeah, go
yeah.
ahead.
Shoot, I had a couple of questions. Oh, okay. Have since you do a lot of interviews, are you noticing a big difference in the hierarchy of like how fillers and thinkers work? I know
What
I
what
probably
do
not
you mean by
phrase.
hierarchy? Like, what do
Like
you?
to me, it seems like your saviors, your demons cannot go past your saviors in a certain way. So like if you're a thinker, you're just different than feelers. Sort of like how decider is very different than an observer. Even though they're both people and they're both doing things, there's just you're looking at different things. You're doing your different things of importance. The hierarchy is different, I guess.
Yeah, no, definitely the hierarchy is there. And I also think that there's a time and place for when the hierarchy should shift. Um, like let's say you're fighting with your like partner, like your wife or whatever, or someone else's partner, and there's shit that needs to be done, right? So in this situation, the feeling's more important because the shit that needs to get done is ultimately for the betterment of you and your partner. But if you and your partner don't even get along right now, maybe you should talk about your feelings first before you do that thing, before you do the T, right? Because there's no
Mm,
point of doing the T if the F is busted, right? You know.
yeah.
But then also vice versa. Um, like there's like a zombie apocalypse, for example. Or like this is a bad example, but like okay, someone's like the situation looks bad. There's like guns being shot, people getting like shot at, like bleeding and stuff. This is not a time to be feeling like this is not a time to be like, oh, I'm scared, I'm gonna scream. Nope, you gotta use your thinking here. You need to get the fuck out. If your partner is a lead feeler, for example, you're like, nope, you freak out later. We gotta go. You take you
Okay.
if you have to grab them, you gotta go. Get yourself out of this bad situation and come up with like NT, figure out like the fastest way to get yourself out to this bad situation to safety, right? So
Mm,
there is definitely a time and place for both, and I think as like as a human being, um, especially as you get older and like you mature to become a better person, you need to distinguish which hierarchy is needed for the situation. So almost like taking your type and be like throwing it out of the window and be like, I'll use what's needed what's needed, you know, like
okay.
what's needed in this situation. Like is the feelings more important? People are hurt, they need comforting, they need help, then you use your feeling, right? And then
Mm,
if it's like a bad dangerous situation, people are gonna die or something, or you gotta use your thinking. It's like, hey, I gotta save my family here, like I'm gonna hurt your feelings right now because I don't want you to be dead, like you know it's like in wars, right? Like it's like like your commander's yelling at you to keep your head down. Oh, because there's a sniper, you're gonna get shot,
right.
you got your feeling hurt. Hey, you're not dead,
Yeah.
you'll thank me later. So um that time and place for both, you know. So
Okay.
that's how I see the hierarchy. Is like, you know, there's no right or wrong um hierarchy. It's the I mean, David Chan talks about this a lot too. Like, use what you need, you know. And if you can't use all four, you're screwed. So
I think you can use what you need, but I think you can't. If you have a feeler and yeah, they have demon thinking, they can think well. You know, you can even have masculine thinking, but you won't be able to operate in the same way a savior thinker would. Or at least that's been my observation. Like just because you're that for lack of a better word, your programming is different. So by you being savior thinker, I mean savior feeler, you were more focused on your priorities. You know what I'm saying? So like if for an example, an observer and a decider both look at something, yeah, they're both looking at the exact same thing, but because one's an observer and one's a decider, they're processing things differently because they're looking at different things about the same thing that they're looking at.
yeah, no, you're right. You're right. So in our case, in our case, we just need rudimentary use of our organizing function. Because like our the first three we can definitely use. We can use our feeling and thinking because they're in the middle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then gathering is like second nature. You don't even have to think about it. So so in that case, the organizing is what we need to work on. For me, it's organizing the SF so that I feel good and I look good. For you, it's organizing um your production for the tribe, you know, to solve their problem essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, so and you know, we don't need a good job. We just need to do. We just need to have functional use of it. You know, where
Yeah.
it doesn't like mess up our life. You know, like
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with
yeah.
that.
But hey man, like I mean, what I was thinking a few days ago is like what made humanity thrive? Is it intelligence? And I say no, it's not. I say intelligence is second because what really kept humanity alive is cooperation. So um if you're smart but you're by yourself, you know, doesn't matter how freaking smart you are, that lion and tiger is still gonna rip you to shreds. You know, you can only outrun them or outsmart them long enough, but eventually, especially if you're getting attacked by like a pride of hyenas or lions or wolves, you know, you're not gonna beat all of them. Maybe you can beat one, but not all of them, right? So cooperation
Right.
comes first, and then intelligence comes second, because then you know now as a tribe you can outsmart other species or other people, right? So,
Mm.
so what I'm trying to get at is like you can use your savior animals, your in your case play, and get help from an organizer to help you out. You know, like help you out if you get stumped, and like don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it, because um ultimately you can trade, right? You can help them gather. Like I don't know if you ever have this feeling where like I'm not really good at anything, and like then IJ comes to you and you're like telling them all the stuff that you've gathered. They're like shocked. They have like a deer in the headlight eyes, and they're like, really? You know?
Yes.
And then like now, you know, when I started running this channel, I was thinking to myself, like, what value can I offer people in a coaching situation? And I noticed that all the people that are that get the most value from me have been IJs, because I'm gathering for them, right? Like all these IJs that have hired me for coaching, they're like, I don't know what's happening in this place, Kendrick. Can you tell me? I'm like, sure. And like I'll look it up for them, right? Because they don't want to gather, right?
Right.
So, you know, and but they can do the other stuff. Double deciding is easy, organizing easy, so gathering, right? But hey, they're asking for help. Just like me, I ask for help. Like when I hire coaches, I always hire IJs, you know, because they know something I don't. So, you know, I'm gonna get something that I need. So cooperation is super important, you know. So don't be scared of
Yeah.
it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
yeah.
Huh.
All right, dude. I gotta bounce.
All
So
right.
good chatting with you, dude.
All
So
right.
yeah, peace out.
Thanks. It was fun.